She began to name them as they slid on, then off. Garden at Giverny, 1902, Claude Monet. Fleur et main, Pablo Picasso. Figure at a window, Salvador Dali, he prompted. Dali. Olive trees, Victor Van Gogh. Vincent. I'm sorry. Her voice began to slur. Vincent Van Gogh. My eyes are tired, Father. My head feels heavy. That's all right, sweetheart. You can close your eyes. You can rest. He took her hand while she drifted off. He held it tenderly in his while she died. She left the world 5 years, 3 months, 12 days, and 6 hours after she'd come into it. 1. When one of the most famous faces on or off planet was beaten to a bloody, splintered pulp, it was news. Even in New York City. When the owner of that famous face punctured several vital organs of the batterer with a fillet knife, it was not only news, it was work. Getting an interview with the woman who owned the face that had launched 1,000 consumer products was a goddamn battle. Cooling her heels in the plush-to-the-point-of-squishy waiting area of the Wilfred B. Icove Center for Reconstructive and Cosmetic Surgery, Lieutenant Eve Dallas was fully prepared to go to war. She'd had just about enough. If they think they can turn me out a third time, they're ignorant of the greatness of my wrath. She was unconscious the first time. Content to lounge in one of the luxurious, overstuffed chairs and sip some complimentary tea, Detective Delia Peabody crossed her legs. And heading into surgery. She wasn't unconscious the second time. Recovery and observation. It's been less than 48, Dallas. Peabody sipped more tea and fantasized what she would have done if she were here for face or body sculpting. Maybe she'd just start with hair extensions. No pain, some gain, she decided, combing her fingers through her dark, bowl-cut do. And self-defense looks pretty clear. She put 8 holes in him. Okay, maybe a little excessive, but we both know her lawyer's going to claim self-defense, fear of bodily harm, diminished capacity, all of which any jury's going to buy. Maybe blonde hair extensions, Peabody thought. Lee 10 is an icon, perfection of female beauty, and the guy played a mighty tune on her face. Broken nose, shattered cheekbone, broken jaw, detached retina. Eve ran through the list in her head. She wasn't looking to hang a homicide on the woman, for God's sake. She'd interviewed the medical tech who'd treated 10 on scene, and she'd investigated and documented the scene itself. But if she didn't close this case down today, she was going to be dealing with the drooling hounds of the media yet again. If it came to that, she'd be tempted to play a tune on 10's face herself. She talks to us today, and we shut this down, or I'm slapping her bevy of attorneys and reps with obstruction of justice. When Rourke's due home? With a frown, Eve stopped pacing long enough to look at her partner. Why? Because you're getting a little edgy. Edgier than usual. I think you have Rourke withdrawal. Peabody let out a wistful sigh. Who could blame you? I'm not having anything withdrawal. She muttered it and began pacing again. She had long legs on a long body and felt a little confined in the overly decorated space. Her hair was shorter than her partner's. A deer-hide brown, worn carelessly choppy around a lean face with large brown eyes. Unlike many of the patients and clients of the Wilfred B. Icove Center, physical beauty wasn't one of her priorities. Death was. Maybe she missed her husband, she admitted. It wasn't a crime. In fact, it was probably one of those marriage rules she was still trying to learn after more than a year in the game. It was rare for Rourke to take a business trip that lasted more than a day or two now, and this one had stretched to a week. She'd pushed for it, hadn't she? She reminded herself. She was very aware he'd set a lot of his work aside in the past months.